The year is 1973. For most of the Western world, the post-war dream is in full swing. Life feels bigger, faster, and brighter than ever before. America is a land of giant cars with roaring engines, and the gasoline to fill them up costs just 36 cents a gallon, less than a cup of coffee. The entire modern world is being built on a magical black liquid, oil. It flows endlessly and cheaply from the vast deserts of the Middle East, powering the factories, homes, and dreams of billions. It feels like the party will never end, but this whole perfect world is balanced on a tiny, fragile point in a faraway land, and it's about to shatter. In the Middle East, there is no party. There is a deep and bitter grudge. 6 years earlier, in a lightning-fast war that shocked the world, Israel had defeated its neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. In just 6 days, Israel seized huge pieces of their land, the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza from Egypt, the West Bank from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. For 6 years, the Arab world has lived with this humiliation. In Egypt, a new leader, Anwar Sadat, has taken power. Many underestimate him, seeing him as a weak placeholder, but behind a quiet smile, he is a cunning strategist, secretly teaming up with Syria. They want their land back and they want revenge. They turn to the world's other superpower, the Soviet Union, who eagerly supplies them with thousands of new tanks, advanced anti-aircraft missiles, and a brilliant new plan. They are about to light a match, not knowing it will set the entire world on fire. On this global chessboard, 4 very different people hold the fate of the world in their hands. In Israel, there is Prime Minister Golda Meir, the nation's Iron Lady. She is tough, determined, and haunted by the history of her people. She believes her nation is an invincible fortress protected by the best army in the region. She receives warnings of a possible attack, but the warnings are dismissed. It's a fatal miscalculation. In America, President Richard Nixon and his brilliant advisor, Henry Kissinger, are trying to keep the Cold War from boiling over, but Nixon is trapped in a scandal back home called Watergate, leaving Kissinger to manage the world's problems. Their main goal, keep the Soviets in check and the oil flowing. And in Saudi Arabia, there is the quiet, dignified King Faisal, a devout and powerful man. He controls a vast sea of oil. He is a friend to America, but he has repeatedly warned them, you cannot support Israel unconditionally and expect our oil to flow forever. He holds a weapon more powerful than any army, the power to turn off the world's energy. These 4 people are on a collision course, and the world is about to find out what happens when they crash. October 6th, 1973. It is Yom Kippur, the holiest, most solemn day in the Jewish calendar. The nation of Israel is quiet. Most soldiers are home with their families, fasting and praying. The borders are quiet, too quiet. Then at 2 p.m., all hell breaks loose. In the south, thousands of Egyptian soldiers storm across the Suez Canal, overwhelming the Israeli defenses. In the north, a river of over 1,000 Syrian tanks smashes into the Golan Heights. It is a massive, perfectly coordinated surprise attack. Israel is caught completely asleep. Its intelligence has failed. Its army is in chaos. Within 48 hours, the situation is catastrophic. The invincible Israeli army is on the verge of total collapse. Hundreds of tanks are destroyed. The nation faces annihilation. In a secret, desperate meeting, a shaken Golda Meir makes the most terrifying phone call of her life to Henry Kissinger in Washington. The message is simple: send us everything you have, or we will be destroyed. The White House is paralyzed. Nixon and his advisors know that helping Israel will infuriate the entire Arab world and their Soviet backers. King Faisal could make good on his threat and cut off the oil. The Soviets could intervene, but letting Israel, America's only democratic ally in the region, be wiped off the map is unthinkable. For days, they hesitate. The Israelis are begging, their losses mounting. Finally, Nixon makes a decision that will change the world. He looks at his advisors and says 2 words: send everything. It was called Operation Nickel Grass, a gigantic non-stop airlift of military hardware straight to the front lines. The full power of the American war machine was unleashed, not to fight, but to resupply. Giant transport planes landing in Israel every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day, packed with everything needed to turn the tide of the war. The message to the world was clear. America would not let Israel fall, but this rescue mission came with a price, and the bill was about to come due. King Faisal and the other Arab leaders in OPEC watch the American airlift with fury. They see it as a declaration of war against them, so they unleash their ultimate weapon. On October 17th, OPEC announces it is cutting off all oil shipments to the United States and its allies. The oil tap is turned off. The effect is immediate and devastating. Gas prices don't just rise, they quadruple overnight. The stock market crashes. Panic grips the Western world. In America, people wait in gas lines that stretch for miles, often ending in anger and fistfights. The party is officially over. The world suddenly learns a terrifying lesson. The most powerful weapon on earth isn't a bomb. It's a barrel of oil. Fueled by American weapons, the Israeli army performs a miraculous turnaround. On the northern front, they push the Syrians completely off the Golan Heights and begin to advance toward their capital, Damascus. But in the south, General Ariel Sharon orchestrates one of the most brilliant and daring moves in modern military history. Under the cover of darkness, his forces punch a hole through the Egyptian lines and cross the Suez Canal into Egypt. The hunter has become the hunted. Within days, the Israelis have fanned out behind the Egyptian army, cutting off their supply lines and encircling the entire Egyptian Third Army, trapping nearly 50,000 soldiers in the desert. This stunning victory, however, pushes the world one step closer to midnight. The Soviet Union cannot stand by and watch its allies be annihilated with American weapons. Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev sends a furious direct message to President Nixon. It is not a suggestion, it is an ultimatum. Tell the Israelis to stop their advance immediately, or we will be forced to consider unilateral action. It is not a bluff. The Soviets put 7 airborne divisions on full alert. Their nuclear warheads are activated and prepared for launch. In the White House, Henry Kissinger receives the message in the middle of the night. He believes the Soviets are preparing to enter the war, a move that would trigger a direct, catastrophic conflict with the United States. He wakes up President Nixon. The decision is made to send the ultimate signal. The United States military is placed on DEFCON 3. It is the highest state of nuclear alert since the Cuban Missile Crisis. 1 million American soldiers around the world are placed on high alert. Nuclear B-52 bombers are ordered into the air, their engines screaming as they circle the globe, ready for the order to strike. The two superpowers are now aiming their nuclear arsenals at each other. One mistake, one miscalculation, one itchy finger on a button, and the world ends in a blaze of atomic fire. The world holds its breath. The only person who can stop the doomsday clock is Henry Kissinger. He boards his plane and begins a frantic, high-stakes diplomatic mission, flying between Moscow, Cairo, and Tel Aviv in what would become known as shuttle diplomacy. He is trying to pull everyone back from the brink. He looks the Soviets in the eye and tells them the United States will not back down. He then flies to Tel Aviv and delivers an equally harsh message to Golda Meir. You must stop your advance, or the American airlift that saved you will be cut off. He promises President Sadat in Egypt that if he agrees to a ceasefire, America will broker a fair and lasting peace. Slowly, painstakingly, a secret deal is made. The US forces a reluctant Israel to halt its attack, allowing supplies to reach the trapped Egyptian army and saving it from destruction. In return, the Soviets stand down their forces. The nuclear clock is stopped just minutes from midnight. The war was over. The oil embargo eventually ended, but the world had been changed forever. The era of cheap, easy oil was gone. A new, tense world order had been created, where the stability of the global economy could be held hostage by conflicts thousands of miles away. The secret deal that ended the crisis wasn't just a ceasefire. It fundamentally shifted the balance of power. America was now the key mediator in the Middle East, a role that would lead to the historic Camp David Accords and a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel just a few years later. But it also revealed a terrifying truth. The world runs on oil, and the men who control that oil now had a weapon that could bring superpowers to their knees. It was a terrifying glimpse of how close our world came to a war that would have had no winners. It was the moment oil became the most powerful political weapon on the planet, a power it holds to this day.